В предишния епизод на Камифуда се опитах да се сближа с Викс и въпреки че отговорите й бяха доста странни, изглежда, че започвам да й влизам под кожата. По пътя към общежитията се срещнах с Куизъл, който реши да ме предизвика да поиграем карти. Въпреки че първоначално ме понатупа, успях да му се реванширам подобаващо. Не съм сигурен какво имаше предвид с римите, които сипеше, но се надявам да не е нещо, което да ме спре по пътя ми да стана шампион по Камифуда. Време е да проведа един разговор за повишаване на отношения. The old jaunt through Glomroad's west dormitories proves to be uncharacteristically lively. I unwittingly turn a corner to find a hallway littered with about 1,000 little marbles. Furthermore, that spell doesn't even use these as a catalyst. It uses actual marble. You know, like from a statue. Don't worry. These are also, the statue kind. There's a million glass balls on the floor, Vix. How's that a statue? I can picture it now. You composed regal and statuesque. As you clean this mess of marbles, you see, I did this all as a favor to you, Loon. The more people that see you cleaning up all those marbles, the better your image around the school becomes. What? I find myself craving a sanctuary of quiet and quickly head in the opposite direction before Loon and her really get into it. Having an inkling of where I might find such a thing, I head in the direction of Glomroad's east wing. I decide to check out Glomroad's library. When I was a kid, I loved to read. My brother, Merritt, started me early. He used to wait until our parents were asleep and then drape a blanket over the lamp between our beds. He would read me whatever strange scraps he managed to find at the local library, and I would fall asleep with a smile. He was kind like that, good in every way. Glomroad's shelves are nothing like the small hovel of publicly available books back home. They are of a dark Titus oak. Upon first look, there is seemingly no order to them. Some shelves are short, maybe 3 or 4 feet, and others are tall, stretching up to an arched ceiling. A click echoes through the library. The scenery around me blurs and shifts. I blink once, and when my eyes open again, I'm in a different section of the library than a moment ago. Though I'm positive I haven't moved. I make an attempt at getting my bearings when the second shift occurs. This time, I catch the various rows, lifting and then jutting forward in unison, like some strange hand of a clock. Is it eldritch magic or engineering at work? No, too fast for something man-made. But perhaps a mixture of the two. Unfamiliarity combined with the strange, ever-shifting surrounding demands my first half hour in the library be spent on simply getting my bearings. I find what I'm looking for eventually, however. Spotlit in a beam of moonlight, Evie stands on her tiptoes as she reaches for a dark grimoire just out of reach. Grab the grimoire off the shelf for her. I reach over her head and grab the tome in question. It is strikingly heavy, and bound with a thick, leathery material. Evie freezes in place until she turns around to spy me as the perpetrator. I set the book in her hand with a smile. It looked a hair out of reach. Sorry if I startled you. I was trying to find the librarian, but maybe they are off campus for the time being. Evie shakes her head. She points behind me where a small black cat, wearing a blue checkered scarf, pulls a little trolley of books with a harness. The harness is ornate, and the emeralds set into its fixtures give off a slight shimmer. The trolley, which is stacked to the brim with at least 100 books, seems to follow the cat by way of some invisible wire of rope, or eldritch force more likely. The cat stares up at me with a look of abject fury.
Meow. He wants you to move.
Oh, sure. I scoot off the way and the little kitty trots by with his trolley of books. I open my mouth to ask Evie the obvious question here, but honestly, after the last few days, this is likely not the strangest thing I will witness today, so I leave it alone.
Are you lost?
Lost? No, not at all.
I thought you were trying to find the book.
Actually, I was trying to find you. If you're busy, Evie, I understand. But honestly, all of this stuff... I motion to the strange, shifting library, to the librarian that is also a cat. It is all foreign to me, and a bit confusing. You seemed really knowledgeable when you were telling me about Shara and Fel the other day. I was wondering if I could pick your brain, or maybe you could recommend some light reading. I flash her a smile and I realize my heart is beating really fast. I let out a shaky breath in hopes of calming myself down. Anxiety, thine bitter mistress. Why must you make it so difficult for me to speak casually with new people?
You want to know more about the Pactual world?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Alright, what's your favorite tome then? For beginners, I mean.
Fel's introduction to Elder's Evils.
Wow, answer too quick. You answer too quick.
It's a really good book. Plus, she wrote it specifically for those new to the Eldritch Arts.
I make a mental note, replaying the title 7 times in my head, so that I don't forget it.
Chapter 7 has one of my favorite Eldritch myths.
Alright, I'm game. Rivet me.
The story is about the waking of Narlet the Pale Star. The tale goes, there was a man called Rallo who lived in a small fisherman's shack on the outskirts of a remote village. The village itself had been a fishing outpost years before, but either overfishing or disease meant for some time now, their nets had come up empty. Many had left for larger cities on the mainland. In the years since, the village was all but dead. Rallo only went into the village once a month to grab a few supplies, as he was mostly self-sufficient. However, when he went to visit one particular day, he found the village shrouded in fog. A thick marine layer that tasted like iron on his tongue. The village was strangely quiet, and despite the early morning, was nearly dark, enshrouded by an overcast. He passed barely a soul on the street, and only made out a few faces watching him through drawn curtains. A bit unnerved, Rallo headed straight for his usual fish merchant. The merchant was a short, hairy little man who always wore a white apron. But this day, he was wrapped in a brown coat overlaid with a red apron. "Where is everyone?" Rallo asked the merchant. "Fish meat," the merchant replied. "They are securing us fish meat." The merchant brought a cleaver down into a cut of tawny white fish. It bled profusely, but the cut was certainly larger than Rallo was usually able to procure with his limited coinage. If he salted it properly, he could make do with this food for quite some time. Fearful the merchant to change his mind, Rallo quickly accepted the trade. He then returned to his shack, which was far removed from the perimeter of the village, and thus he continued to do so for 3 months' time. Each visit he saw less of the populace roaming the Fogthig village. In each visit he garnered better and better cuts of fish from the old merchant, until one night Rallo returned to his small shack to find some nearby wildlife had broken in. His food stores were gone, wrecked and eaten, and he had no supplies left save some poor herbs to suckle on. Though it was late in the day, he resolved a visit to the village was worth it. He needed food for dinner, after all, and the merchant owed him some for being a loyal customer for many years now. It was early evening when Rallo finally arrived. The fog was thicker than in the day, and not a pinprick of starlight burned through the grey nightscape. He stumbled through the village by the light of an old rusty lantern. The homes were all dark, the shops quiet, the only ambience a crooning wind, and a chorus of shuffles like boots in the dirt. His heart began to drum in his ears. The back of his neck was slick, cold, but he pressed through the fog, walked until the night song of windfall was drowned out by the lapping of the shore. The house here, near the edge of the shore, were emptied. Open doors and shutters, furniture toppled or covered in thick layers of mildew and strange white-specked mold. There was a light in the fog, bright, white, with touches of silver. It was coming from the shore, the light, the shuffling, and the silhouettes of in the fog. He dimmed his lantern, descended the slope to the village shoreline, and crept into an abandoned cottage, just at the edge of the lake. Through the window he witnessed the villagers waddling through the muck. They moved like lumbering beasts in disorderly clusters of 5 to 6. Toward the lakeshore, toward strange pale light, pulsing slowly far beneath the lake. Rallo watched an old man of 70 trudge into the waters, ankle deep, then waist deep, until he sunk, just a shadow in the water creeping towards the light like moths to the proverbial flame. Nearby the fish merchant stood at the edge of the lake, at a bloody tarp. He walked ankle deep into the tide and reached his hands into the lake pulling out a dark, struggling mass about as large as he. It was a grotesque creature, fleshy and pink with sea-green fish scales. A putrid black sludge oozed from its orifices. It had no legs or fins, but some smattering of the two, partly fused together as it writhed in the dirt, wailing from a bulbous, pustule-infested head. Raulo dropped his lantern. The shattered glass echoed through the night, and the fish merchant turned to spy him with a smile. Evie folded his hands, seemingly done. What? That can't be it. What happened next? You like it? A bit too creepy for me, though I guess I'm invested now. That's okay, I understand it's all a little weird. I didn't mean it that way, I'm just not great with scarier stuff. She pauses. You might have a hard time at Glomrod Tarot. I was worried you might say that. How did you get into this kind of stuff anyway? Eldritch lore? Well, my parents are actually researchers for the Institute of Verity. The Institute of Verity? That sounds familiar. I think someone from there attended my trial. Your trial? Oh, well, before Glomrod I was kinda locked in the Pale Gardens. You were in the gardens? Yeah, I hope that doesn't... What were they like? Did you see any strange happenings? How far into the facility were you? Mostly I was just in a dark cell. Oh, right. Sorry. I tried to force a nervous chuckle. It's fine, Evie. The Pale Gardens were made by Shara Ainfel. Sometimes I forget and get carried away. The Institute of Verity is an assembly of eldritch researchers. My parents specialize in ancient lore and secrets. So, does that mean your parents are pact-sworn too? Evie nods. My pact is hereditary, and since my parents were always traveling over as part of their work, I spent a lot of time at dig sites and eldritch libraries. Well, it's certainly much more exciting than my childhood. It's fitting you take after your folks. Yeah. As I'm about to ask her another question, a high-pitched hiss startles me from behind. The librarian, I can't believe I'm calling him that, bares his teeth at Evie and I. Evie? Всъщност това трябваше да е библиотекаря. Това трябваше по-скоро трябваше аз, нали. He says the librarian is closing for the day. The library is closing for the day. Oh, got it. Hey, do you speak cat or... No, why do you ask? Never mind. Evie grabs a couple of books off the shelf before I walk her out. She mentions that she frequents in part of the school if I ever need to find her. I suppose if I ever want to hear the rest of the story about the fishing village, I should look for her here again. Ами, достатъчно честно. Добре. Late into the afternoon, Trent closes our training session with a few finer points. Meanwhile, I massage my sore rear after having been knocked on my ass so many times in our duel. And remember to visualize. The cards are doing the heavy lifting for you.
But when it comes time to cast your own spell, you need to picture the Eldritch formula yourself.
Easier said than done.
Quite the true, but you're doing well, Tarot. Tomorrow, I think we'll go over some fundamentals on the different parts of Eldritch magic. If we're lucky, we may be able to find one that you are suited for. If that happens, it will make our job that much easier.
As much as I like beating my head against the wall, easy does sound appealing at the moment.
Don't worry. There will still be plenty of head beating.
Trent shuffles his deck back into his card case with a snap of a finger, commanding the cards to their home with an eldritch trick of the wind. I, on the other hand, struggle sublimely as I pick my deck the old-fashioned way. As I pick up my last card, I catch him sizing me up from the corner of my eye.
Tarot, there's something I've been wanting to ask you.
I'm an open book, Trent. Besides, I'm 2 shakes removed from owing you my life at the moment.
And that's... well, I'm not the kind of guy who likes to hold favors over people. But if you're willing, I could actually use your help with something.
Sure, anything.
Word to the wise, Tarot. Don't offer your aid to people around Glomrod without knowing what you are getting yourself into first.
I'm getting the sense this isn't a simple pick up my dry cleaning kind of thing. Trent sits by a large shelf of books at the other end of the club room. He brushes his fingers over a pair of red tomes as the corner of his mouth curls downward.
It isn't. And to be honest, it may be dangerous.
Okay, spill. What I'm getting myself into? Trent shakes his head.
Not now. I need to check on something first. Meet me back here later tonight, 8 o'clock. I'll tell you everything then.
A knot forms in my gut. Maybe it's just my nerves, or maybe my intuition is telling me to run. But Trent's been the only one at this school to really help me thus far. Even the faculty haven't proven that generous. Okay, Trent. I'll see you in a few hours.
Good. And get some dinner in you. You're skin and bones, man.
I chastise his remark, but follow his advice nonetheless. On my way back to the dorms, I pick up some food from the university cafeteria. I'm told when classes are in session, it is a veritable wonderland of options. But tonight for me, the only selection is roast beef and potatoes. I take the order to go in a small container, relishing the scent of a brown gravy filling the west dormitory hall as I approach my room. I've certainly had worse than this. There was a whole year in middle school. I'm pretty sure all we had to eat was buttered noodles and bread. And it was wheat bread to boot. Let me guess, the roast beef? I flinch a hair. Behind me, Loon opens a door to one of the rooms. It's especially salty this time around. Perfect. I don't have much of a palate to speak of. So long as you admit it. Say, I was just sitting down to eat too. Care to join me? I give him a shrug in reply. But there is something genuinely exciting about, I don't know, people wanting to spend time with me? After so many years locked in practice rooms,
After school jobs, just music, work, home. As depressing as it sounds, I guess I didn't really have I didn't have any friends. The inside of Loon's room is absolutely ridiculous. A spacious area the size of 6 Glomrod rooms. An area rug wider than the hallways. Bright and cozy lighting. Here, pop a squat. We bust out our dishes on a small coffee table in the center of the room. Loon asks if we should put on some background music. I half expect a snap of his fingers to materialize a spectral orchestra, but he just links a phone to a small speaker device. I think you're the first person I've actually seen use a phone in Glomrod. What's the deal with that anyway? Mine was confiscated, but I figured everyone else would have one. Ah, yeah, it's not that everyone else doesn't have one. It's just phones don't really work in Glomrod. You know, on account of us technically being in a pocket dimension right now. Wi-Fi hasn't quite made it through, or 5G for that matter. I blink. I hadn't thought of that. I just use this thing for music while I'm on campus. Have a bunch of it stored locally. Smart. I have to remember that. We finish our roast beef and mash to a soundtrack of retro synth beats. Loon tells me about 2 dozen or so shows he'd been to in the last year, all electronica adjacent. He shows me a few tracks which are frankly just some of the most abysmal music I've heard in my life. But you can just tell someone that, so I smile politely and bob my head every 20 seconds or so. You know, for the sake of the friendship, I guess. So what's your deal, man? What were you up to before being shoved off to this place? Well, he lifts a palm. I don't mean any of that miserable Eldritch Pact stuff. Like, what was your life like? Honestly, exhausting. Exhausting, really? What was so rough about it? Where to start? I just was under a lot of pressure. At home, at school. Honestly, before this, I think I was about to crash and burn. An image of the stage flickers in my mind. Or I guess I did crash and burn. Sorry, bud. Maybe a bad topic. It's fine. What about you? Me? Nah. I got it good, Tarot. Even if I had stuff to complain about, I don't think it would be fair to. What do you mean by that? He rubs the back of his neck nervously, though the veneer of confidence is thick, almost convincing. Interesting. I'm a rich kid, man. The child of dignitaries and all that. People joke about some folks growing up with a silver spoon. Well, I literally had them. In fact, I've had everything I've ever wanted. Snap of my fingers? Mary'd go and grab it for me. Your mom? Ah no, nanny at first. Personal assistant these days. I'm sure you had your own struggles. Loon plays with the last remnants of mashed potatoes on his plate, pushing them back and forth with a spoon. The sounds of silverware scrapping our plates fill a growing silence. And I realize, though he's been smiling, he hasn't looked at me in a few minutes' time. In the eye, anyway. A sonorous bell tone shakes his room. I spy a grandfather clock in the corner and realize it must sound every hour. How does this guy even sleep? It dings 8 times. 8? Shit! Sorry, Loon, I just realized I'm late for something. I completely lost track of time. Oh, no worries. Why do you have to be this late though? I'm supposed to go meet Trent about something. As the words leave my mouth, I remember Trent was fairly mysterious about it. Oh, I never colored myself as one for spycraft, but you think I could hold down a secret for more than a few hours. Trent asked you to meet him tonight? Like in the club room or... Yeah, something like that. Loon shoots me a bit of perplexed look. By your tone, I'll take it upon myself not to pry. That being said, walking the grounds alone at night isn't usually the greatest idea. Remember the vacuous tree? Don't tell me it wakes up at night or something. No, but it isn't the only hazard in the campus. And some are easier for newbies to walk into than others. Come on, I'll walk you over there. Oh, I mean, you don't really have to... I insist. Okay, should have seen that coming. Loon and I make the trek back to the other side of the campus. When the lamps are lit during the day, it's maybe a 15 to 20 minute walk. But with only the sparse glow of Ihram's fireflies at my side, it takes us a bit longer. If nothing else, just to make sure we don't trip over something in the dark. Loon is halfway through telling me a story about his first year at Glomrod, wherein he tripped and fell into an old stone wall that was hiding a sealed off room. He begins to do a very poor impression of what I think is some sort of cross between a bear and a ghost, or perhaps the ghost of a bear. Either way, we arrive outside the club room just in time to stop him. The front door is open upon arrival, and the room itself is dark. In fact, the whole hallway is near pitch black, as if even the twilight cannot penetrate this little corner of Glomrod stone. I wonder if he left early. I am a bit late. The club room is open. He never leaves the door open when he's on his way out. Fun fact, Trent even got a transmutation expert to put a hex on the door. If you open it without a key, it turns you into a raccoon. You know, I wasn't going to say anything, but you and he seem strangely enthused by that notion. They are the nature's little bandits. So I keep hearing. Jokes aside, I finish his sentence for him. The lights. Yeah. Loon and I exchange a look of concern. We creep toward the door in a surprising display of synchronization. Either way, we arrive outside the club room just in time to stop him. The front door is open upon arrival, and the room itself is dark. In fact, the whole hallway is near pitch black, as if even the twilight cannot penetrate this little corner of Glomrod stone. I open the heavy stone slab a smidge more so that we may shimmy through the crack. It creaks loudly. Damn thing. And I wait a hair, listening for any movement in the dark. When none comes, we head in. Inside the club room, air is cool and still. There's a strange texture under my shoes, like gravel or maybe coarse soil. Too dark to be certain. Overhead, a few beams of moonlight pierce through the club room, sealing from the floor directly above. I step into the closest spotlight. A thick hole, at least a foot in diameter, seems to have somehow carved a winding path through the stone. Dust or maybe dirt still falls gently from the foundation through the moonlight and onto the floor we walk upon. The hole is one of several and very new, judging by the quickly deteriorating cracks upon them. I step out of the way just in time to dodge a small chunk of stone break from the ceiling and clatter into a dozen pieces onto the ground. The hell happened here? I think I've got the light. Loon's voice echoes from the other end of the room. With a click, the lamps burn bright. Soft-edged lamplight creeps from the corners to the center of the club room. A dark mass is curled into the floor, unmoving, quiet. Hello? My voice is hardly a whisper, and I receive silence in reply. I pull Icharon's firefly jar from my belt, walk steadily toward the darkling creature. Illuminated. The body is contorted, face pale and twisted in horror. Its eyes are wide and milky white, mouth frozen open as if perpetually screaming. A dark sludge, too thick to be blood, runs out in a thin stream from both its nostrils and ears. Its legs are bent backward, shins broken forward, and thighs forced back. There are scrapes on its fingers. Blood drips like a leaky faucet, filling the silent chamber with a tap 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 of consecutive drops, where a nail was bent back and nearly torn clean off. The smell is thick, rancid, as if it's been here for days, not hours or minutes. I set the fireflies down gently by his face and cover my mouth, forcing back down a spurt of vomit. Loon's footsteps echo at my back. He curses under his breath. Trent, what have they done to you? But Trent's corpse does not reply.